You see, this whole conversation about insecurity and killings in Nigeria is taking another serious turn. Human rights lawyer and activist Dele Farotimi has come out strong again, this time calling out the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu over what he describes as downplaying genocide by calling it farmer-herder clashes. According to him, such statements are not only misleading but also dangerous because they hide the real pain that people are going through across different communities in Nigeria. Now, for those who have been following recent events, you'll agree that there have been renewed tensions in parts of the Middle Belt and north-central Nigeria, areas like Plateau, Benue, and Southern Kaduna, where several attacks have left many families displaced. Yet each time these reports come out, government officials or spokespersons often refer to them as farmer-herder clashes. But according to Dele Farotimi, calling these deadly incidents clashes is a way of reducing the seriousness of what is actually happening. He said, "This is not a clash. This is one-sided violence, and Nigerians should not be deceived by language manipulation." And honestly, that's a big point. Words matter. Because when the government or the media keeps saying clashes, it suggests that both sides are equally armed, equally involved. But the truth on the ground from witnesses and reports shows that innocent villagers are often the ones caught off guard. Before I continue, please make sure you like this video and subscribe if you're just joining us. It helps more people see this discussion and stay informed about what's really happening in Nigeria. Now, coming back to Dele Farotimi's statement, he didn't just talk about the killings, he also accused the government of failing to deliver on promises of justice and reform. Remember, when President Tinubu came into office, he emphasized that national security was going to be a top priority. But according to Farotimi, that promise has not reflected in real change, especially for communities still under attack. He said something powerful, that Nigerians cannot continue to normalize death and call it politics. He warned that by labeling everything as clashes, the government is indirectly excusing the people behind these acts. And if nothing is done, the cycle will continue. At the same time, there's been growing concern internationally. Said us, groups like Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch have been calling for investigations into these attacks for years. They argue that Nigeria must do more to protect its citizens and prosecute those responsible. Farotimi's outburst simply echoes that. He's saying that it's not just about naming, it's about accountability. And truly, many Nigerians are beginning to ask, is the government overwhelmed or are there political interests behind the silence? If you've noticed, each time people talk about insecurity, the same names of affected states keep repeating. Plateau, Benue, Southern Kaduna, Niger State, Zamfara, and even parts of Taraba. That consistency shows that something deeper is wrong. Once again, if you are following this discussion and you believe Nigerians deserve safety and truth, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more updates. We talk about real issues here, not just politics, but life and justice. Now, let's talk about something Dele Farotimi also pointed out indirectly, the power of narrative. He's saying the government and the media must stop painting the crisis with soft words. Because, let's face it, when the world hears clash, it doesn't sound like a massacre. It sounds like a disagreement that turned violent. But when hundreds die, homes are burnt, and people are displaced, that's not a clash. That's terror. At this point, Nigerians are not just tired of promises. They're tired of excuses. And that's the core of what Farotimi is addressing. He's reminding the government that people's lives are not statistics. Before we continue, kindly drop your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think the government is intentionally downplaying these killings? Or do you think they are just trying to maintain calm? Let's talk about it. Because truly, when a government refuses to call things by their real names, it gives room for injustice to continue. The victims deserve to be acknowledged. Calling their deaths clashes makes it sound like they brought it upon themselves, and that's wrong. And this is where we need to think as a country. What's the end goal? If insecurity keeps spreading, it will affect everyone, from the farmers to the traders, the teachers, and even investors. Security is the foundation of every successful nation. If you're still watching, thank you. Please hit the like button right now and subscribe so you don't miss the next update. I'll be breaking down some related reports about the government's new security measures and how some experts think Nigeria is facing a humanitarian crisis if nothing changes soon. So, after Dele Farotimi made that strong statement about the government downplaying what's happening, social media went wild. Nigerians from home and abroad started reacting. Some people praised him, saying he's one of the few voices that still speak the truth fearlessly. Others, however, cautioned that his words were too harsh and might heat up the political atmosphere. But the reality is this: whether harsh or not, what he said has opened a fresh national conversation. Now, let's be honest, it's not the first time we've heard something like this. Even before Tinubu's administration, under Buhari's government, people like Obadiah Melafia, may his soul rest in peace, had raised similar alarms about violence being covered up or not properly addressed. Melafia was once quoted saying that some of the people behind these attacks were being protected. Sadly, he was criticized, and nothing much came out of it. So, what Farotimi is doing now is bringing that same conversation back, but louder. He's saying that if we don't call this what it really is, Nigeria might never heal. And he has a point. You can't solve a problem you keep pretending doesn't exist. Remember, the government's usual line is to say unknown gunmen or suspected herders. But after years of saying this, Nigerians are asking, how can they still be unknown after hundreds of attacks? Where are the arrests? Where are the trials? These are real questions. And that's why Dele's words are resonating with many people. And I'll say this again. If you're enjoying this discussion, please pause for a second, like this video, and subscribe to the channel. That's how we keep spreading awareness and ensure that important conversations like this reach more people across Nigeria and beyond. Now back to the matter. According to some reports and statements from community leaders, part of the problem is poor intelligence sharing among security agencies. Some communities say they even alert security forces before attacks happen, but no response comes until it's too late. And when that happens, people lose trust in the system. Let's not forget, the government has been spending billions on defense. Nigeria's 2024 budget allocated a huge portion to security. But the question is, where's the result? If bandits and attackers are still freely operating, then what are we really funding? This is the same question that analysts are asking, and that's why Farotimi's comments have so much weight. At this stage, it's not even about politics anymore. It's about human lives. Whether you support Tinubu, Atiku, Obi, or anyone else, we must agree that no one deserves to live in fear in their own country. Meanwhile, this same issue has also drawn the attention of international observers. Some Western and African media outlets have reported the increasing violence in parts of Nigeria, calling for stronger action. But there's also a challenge. The Nigerian government doesn't want outsiders to control the narrative. They insist it's an internal issue. However, Farotimi is basically saying that keeping quiet is not patriotism. It's complicity. He said something powerful again, that evil only thrives when good men keep silent. And this line really hit home for many Nigerians. Because at this point, it feels like everyone is waiting for someone else to fix the country. But Farotimi's message is that citizens too must rise. Not violently, but by speaking, organizing, and demanding accountability. Now let's link this to something bigger. The issue of unity and truth in Nigeria. Every time we refuse to call things by their real names, it divides us more. When people in some regions feel abandoned or unheard, it builds resentment. And when resentment grows, insecurity deepens. So, addressing these killings honestly is not just about justice. It's also about healing the country. Again, my people, don't forget to like this video right now and subscribe to the channel. We do this not just to trend, but to build awareness. The more people know, the more pressure there will be on those in power to act right. Now, on a related note, while the Government may see Dele Farotimi's statement as criticism. Others see it as an opportunity to correct things before they get worse. Because when people like him speak out, it's not because they hate the country, it's because they love it. He's simply saying that Nigerians should stop normalizing pain. We also need to think about how this affects our global image. When foreigners hear about violence, they think Nigeria is unsafe. Investors pull out, tourists avoid us, and even our own citizens lose hope. So solving insecurity is not just about preventing attacks, it's also about rebuilding confidence in the country. And honestly, the way forward is transparency. Tell the truth, hold people accountable, and protect innocent lives. That's the message Farotimi is shouting, and it's one every leader should hear. Before I wrap up this segment, let me ask you, do you think people like Dele Farotimi are helping Nigeria with their words, or do you think they're making things more tense? Drop your comment below. I want to read your take. And please like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this truth. Because when we all talk about these things, we make it harder for injustice to hide. After that fiery comment where he said, downplaying genocide as farmer-herder clashes is nonsense, several civic groups, human rights activists, and even religious leaders joined the conversation. Groups like the Southern Kaduna People's Union, Sokapu, and Middle Belt Forum echoed his words, saying that for too long the government has been using soft language to describe serious human rights violations. Some of them claim that what's happening in parts of Benue, Plateau, and Southern Kaduna are not mere clashes but targeted attacks that require real justice and accountability. They asked the government to stop treating it as a political talking point and instead face the reality that innocent lives are being lost. Lives of men, women, and children who just want peace. At the same time, the federal government's response has been quite diplomatic. Some top officials close to the presidency reportedly said that the government is not downplaying anything but is rather being careful with language so as not to inflame ethnic tensions. They argue that if leaders start labeling events with sensitive terms like genocide, it could spark nationwide unrest. But then, this is where Dele Farotimi's counterpoint hits hard. He's saying, we can't be more concerned about language than about lives. That's the tension between truth and caution, between saying what's real and keeping the peace. And it's a conversation that Nigeria has been struggling with for decades. Now, one thing we must understand is that Dele Farotimi has been consistent. He's always spoken up on issues like bad governance, human rights, and political silence. So he was even among those who criticized the handling of the EndSARS movement, calling for justice for young Nigerians who suffered during that period. So his words carry weight, not because he's in government, but because he has built a voice that people trust, especially those who feel unheard. Meanwhile, this entire debate has reignited another serious conversation about media coverage. Some Nigerians are accusing the mainstream media of not giving enough attention to rural violence. They say many attacks only make it to the news after they've gone viral on social media. This raises the question, who is controlling the national narrative? Because if information doesn't reach the wider public, it's easy for those in authority to pretend everything is fine. That's why independent journalists, civic groups, and influencers have been stepping in to bridge that gap. And this is exactly what Dele Farotimi was pointing at. He said Nigeria is not lacking voices, it's lacking honest platforms. Now, let's take a moment. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. You see, this is how we grow a community of people who care about real issues. Every like and subscription helps push this kind of discussion into more people's recommendations. All right, let's move forward. The bigger picture here is how the government reacts to criticism. Instead of addressing the substance of Farotimi's statement, some politicians have tried to label him as anti-government. But the truth is, a democracy should be open to criticism. If every opposing voice is seen as an enemy, then the country stops growing. Interestingly, even some northern elders have started speaking about the need for more honesty. The Northern Elders Forum, NEF, recently warned that the ongoing violence could become uncontrollable if the government continues to politicize it. They advised both state and federal leaders to stop giving excuses and start showing real results. And this is the point. Security is not about talk, it's about trust. When citizens stop believing that their leaders can protect them, the whole system begins to weaken. Now, to give you a quick flashback, this same argument about language has appeared in other countries too. For example, in Rwanda before 1994, international organizations avoided calling the situation a genocide even when it was clear what was happening. And history showed how dangerous that silence became. That's why Farotimi's words are echoing so deeply. He's warning Nigeria not to repeat history. And if you think about it, he's right. No nation can move forward when truth is constantly brushed aside. Before I end this part, I want you to think about this. When last did we, as Nigerians, demand full accountability for the loss of lives? We've almost become too used to bad news, but that's not normal. And that's why people like Dele Farotimi are so passionate, because silence has become too costly. So, what's next? Well, reports say that some civil society organizations are now planning public forums and conferences to discuss how to push for a national inquiry into repeated violence in rural Nigeria. They're asking for proper investigations, public reports, and prosecution of anyone involved, no matter their tribe or political link. This might actually be the first step toward truth and reconciliation, something that can help Nigerians see that justice is not selective. Now, before we go into what this whole thing means for President Tinubu's administration, how it could affect public trust, and what Nigerians are demanding next, please like this video, subscribe, and share it with others so we can keep spreading awareness. As we have seen throughout this discussion, Dele Farotimi's comment, downplaying genocide as farmer-herder clashes is nonsense, was not just a random statement, it was a wake-up call. A reminder that Nigeria cannot continue to sugarcoat serious human rights issues under fancy words or political excuses. Whether one agrees with his tone or not, the truth is clear. Too many lives have been lost, and too little has changed. Nigerians are tired of condolence messages, tired of official statements that say, we condemn this act, without any visible action following it. The people want justice, not speeches. They want solutions, not stories. Now, in fairness, the Tinubu administration has emphasized that it's working to improve security through better coordination between the military, police, and local intelligence. The government has also launched several operations in states like Zamfara, Benue, and Plateau. But many Nigerians are saying, if those efforts are truly working, why are the killings still happening? So, what Dele Farotimi did was reignite that sense of urgency. He's pushing Nigerians to hold their leaders accountable and to stop accepting excuses. His message is uncomfortable, yes, but sometimes the truth has to sting before it heals. And this is where we must look forward. If Nigeria truly wants peace, it must start with truth. Telling it, accepting it, and acting on it. It's not about North or South, Christian or Muslim, Fulani or farmer. It's about Nigeria. Every life lost weakens us all, and every silence strengthens those who destroy. This issue also touches on something deeper, the value of human life. Until Nigeria values every life equally, no matter the tribe, religion, or region, we'll keep going in circles. That's the heart of what Dele Farotimi was saying. Now the ball is in the government's court. The world is watching. Nigerians are watching. And social media never forgets. How the Tinubu government responds to these criticisms will either rebuild trust or further damage it. But at the end of the day, this is also about you and me, the citizens. The more we speak up peacefully, the more we push for transparency, the harder it becomes for injustice to thrive in silence. So my people, if you followed this gist till now, I really appreciate you. But don't just stop here. Like this video, subscribe to the channel and share it so that more Nigerians and even people abroad can understand what's really happening on the ground. We are building a space for real conversations, not propaganda. Nigeria needs truth tellers now more than ever. Because only when we start facing the truth without fear or bias can we finally begin to heal as a nation. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay peaceful, and always remember, your voice matters.